We're going to start by having a look through the papers this morning with editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Good to see you this morning, Charlotte. And talking of Buckingham Palace and the royal family today, should we talk about Prince Harry, who has simply lost touch with reality, according to the Telegraph.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there was a small official statement from Buckingham Palace after this famous BBC interview. But what's also happening on the sidelines is small little leaks from the palace or sources close to the palace and insiders. So we're starting to get a sense a couple of days on of how they really feel about this. The word that keeps coming through is delusional. They just think Harry's delusional. And he's completely lost touch with reality. If he thinks that getting in touch with his father is possible by speaking on a BBC interview, speaking to the media, which he claims to despise so much, you know, he's kind of lost the plot, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the most disturbing things was this idea that they weren't in contact at all. But as someone said, how can the king talk to him, not knowing what is going to then appear in the next interview, documentary, book, or anything else?
Yeah, it is tragic, though, because one thing I did get from the interview was a sense of absolute desperation. He clearly just cannot get hold of his father. But I agree with the king, he's very wise. Of course he can't engage with his own son. But I think they've got to find a way forward. They've got to find a way to communicate, because this will keep happening. I can imagine Harry doing an interview every few months if it means getting through to his father. And the irony is, do you remember Thomas Markle, Meghan's father? When he couldn't get hold of Meghan, he started doing interviews every 6 months. And now I see history repeating itself with Prince Harry.
But then, I mean, the danger is, the one line which really struck me out of all of that was the fact saying, well, I don't know how long my father's got left, which seems such a sort of awful thing to say, or at least ill-advised thing to say.
I know, I feel like he said it off the cuff and he hadn't thought it through, but you never know with Harry. He's quite strategic about these things. Certainly it was an absolutely foolish thing to say. It would have really upset his father, everyone at the palace. I think probably that's the surest way not to speak to his father again, is saying things like that.
And it won't be lost on people at home today that Prince Harry should be here, shouldn't he? As a veteran, he should be on that balcony alongside the King, alongside the Queen. I mean, thanking our veterans for everything they've done for us.
It's exactly the kind of event he would have loved if he was still a working member of the royal family. It's a real shame he's not going to be here. And also, it's a distraction. That interview is a distraction.
Yeah.
And over there, we're going to have the full roster of, you know, top-tier royals. And unfortunately, we're talking about his crazy interview in which he discusses how long his father has left to live.
And that's what the royal family have said, haven't they? They hope, out of respect for the veterans, that nothing distracts from the commemorations that we're going to see this week.
Should we stop interviewing him? I suggested this yesterday, and it's difficult. But I think there should perhaps be a moral duty now where we don't go and chase interviews with him. Because it causes problems.
It does cause problems. I think...
You know, if the Telegraph...
Well, let's see how... I mean, I'm just thinking as a journalist here, would we turn down an interview with Harry?
This is it. I mean, if the Mail on Sunday got offered an exclusive with Harry, would you do it?
Yeah, and there was a time when we all thought we were going to stop writing about Meghan, but actually... You know, she deliberately crafts ways to be written about. You know, just today, or was it yesterday, she released a photo of Harry in California. I mean, that was deliberately designed to be in all the papers today. It wasn't in the front page of the Mail, but it was in there in page 5 or something. And it was being described by palace insiders as I won't say the word, an FU.
Yes.
Because what she's saying is, Harry is having a great life in California, forget the rest of you. But actually what he was saying in his interview is, I do want to come back to the UK. So actually I think she might be saying F you to her own husband a little bit with that image as well. But, you know, she is engaging with us as much as she might want to deny it.
Have you been getting a load of spam in your email recently? What about random calls? It's really annoying, isn't it? Data brokers are out there collecting your personal information. Anything from your email, your full name, your address, and even your political affiliation. Cyber criminals can even use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick people into sending them money. And it gets even worse. People out there are getting huge loans taken out in their names without even knowing about it. But don't worry, because the sponsor of this video, Incogni, can help. They reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information is removed from their databases. Incogni continues to make sure that your data is removed automatically from the internet via repeated removal requests. So, how can you get started? Well, step 1, Hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account and tell us whose data you'd like removed. Step 2, grant Incogni the right to work on your behalf. Step 3, sit back, relax and watch Incogni work. They will update consistently so you know when your data has been removed. Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it for yourself and you'll get a free refund if the service isn't for you. So take back your personal data today with Incogni. Use the code GBNews using the link in the description below and you'll get 60% off an annual payment plan.
The King will be joined by senior members of the royal family later on this afternoon as a military procession makes its way from Whitehall to Buckingham Palace.
But this year's commemoration marks a poignant milestone too, as it's the first major VE Day anniversary without any of the royals who stood on that palace balcony during that historic first celebration 80 years ago.
Well, our royal correspondent Cameron Walker is here. Good morning, Cameron.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask, are you looking forward to today?
I'm really looking forward to it. It's always amazing being here by Buckingham Palace when you've got the pomp and pageantry of the British Armed Forces marching down the Mall. And what I always love about events like this is seeing the dedication of the crowds who queue and camp out and have been waiting for hours in the freezing cold just for a glimpse of the royal family and just to be part of those commemorations. And as you say, both of you, very poignant, of course, because just under 80 years ago, on that balcony behind us was King George VI, Queen Elizabeth, Princess Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth II, and Princess Margaret. And as you say, of course, the late Queen no longer with us, so no one in living memory will be on that balcony. But what we do have is her descendants and the descendants of the royal family. And King Charles and Queen Camilla are very much kind of looking forward to, I'm told, sitting with 50 veterans from World War II by Queen Victoria Memorial and joining in the celebrations with them.
And there's that wonderful anecdote, isn't there, Cameron, of Queen Elizabeth, Princess Elizabeth at the time, on VE Day, being allowed to sneak out into the crowds and just take part in that celebratory atmosphere. I mean, that must have been incredible for her. She said it was one of the best nights of her life.
Yeah, it certainly was, and she did speak about it when she was alive, so she snuck out of a side gate round the back of the palace alongside her sister and was wearing her uniform cap, and she said she was terrified of being recognised, so she pulled the uniform cap right down over her eyes. But the soldier she was with, who was a higher rank than her at the time, said, I will not be seen with an improperly dressed person, and so she had to put her cap back up on top so people did recognise her. And then she was seen dancing, well, she talked about dancing and linking hands with people on Whitehall just outside Downing Street. She was rumoured to end up at the Ritz Hotel just the other side of Green Park with her sister as well, and walked back through the park to Buckingham Palace afterwards. And of course cheering, it must have been weird for her, cheering her mother and father from the balcony with the crowds, because usually she would be on the balcony. Yeah.
See, what strikes me about that is that, and she, as you said, it's one of the highlights of her life, really, is that was her with her people, or those who would become her people. And what we're seeing today is the fact that the King and Queen will be with their people, actually not quite as distant on the balcony, but at the memorial.
Yeah, it's incredibly rare, I think, for members of the royal family to not be actually physically inside the palace, but instead on this specially built kind of dais. And as you say, with the people, with those veterans who were fighting during the Second World War, most of which must be over 100 by now. So it will be particularly poignant and special. And it's not just the King and Queen we're going to be seeing by the Queen Victoria Memorial there. We've got the Prince and Princess of Wales, we've got Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Princess Anne, Tim Lawrence, her husband, and the Duke of Kent as well. So all the working members, senior working members of the royal family will be there.
And it will be wonderful to see that very special bond, that historic bond between the British royal family and the armed forces.
Yeah, it certainly is. Of course, King Charles is head of the armed forces. A number of senior working members of the royal family are colonels of various regiments. As we know, Grenadier Guards will be marching today. Queen Camilla is royal colonel of that particular regiment. So it is pretty poignant for them, and they do take a huge interest, clearly, in what the armed forces do. And let's not forget that what the soldiers we're going to be seeing and members of the Royal Air Force and Navy marching down the Mall, they're not just there for ceremonial show. They are serving soldiers who will, be deployed on active operations.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're
That's
the
right,
real
remember.
deal, each and every one of them. Cameron, we'll speak to you later, but for now, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Now, if